Are you a struggling realtor? Don't worry, you're not alone.
I'm 22 years old, and after trying to make money online for about 6 years now, I finally hit my first $50,000 month. You can see here, March to end of March, hit $54,000 in 1 month, and this is pretty much all recurring revenue. So barring a great cancellation, it should do the same thing next month. I live in a modest apartment. That's like $1,700 a month. Nothing crazy. My wife and I have one car, this sexy Toyota Avalon, and it's got heated seats too, so 60,000 miles, it'll last us forever. I'm just giving some additional layers of context. I'm not here to sell you a $3,000 course. I'm very anti-Lamborghini, online guru, flashy yachts, boats, women, all that stuff. Not at all. I just want to have money so I don't have to worry about going to the grocery store and going to Chick-fil-A when I want to. What I want to do in this video is I want to give my 16-year-old self 8 pieces of advice, which you'll see right after this is the first ad I ever made. And there's already all these little things and little side quests and businesses I tried to start along the way. And I just want to give that 16-year-old kid some advice that might be helpful for him in the next 6 years. This might not be helpful to anybody else, but for me, I just wanted to make it. So if you want to watch it, stay around. If not, you can leave. Maybe like it before you go though.
So the first thing I would want to tell my 16-year-old self is that nothing's a waste. This next clip you're going to see is from an ad that I filmed when I was like 16 or 17 years old. And this ad never saw a light of day. It never ran, but I can't tell you how discouraged I was after nothing coming from this ad. So honestly, this is one of those businesses, ideas, side quests that I don't even remember now to this day. And I got so discouraged afterwards and I was like, this is just not for me. I'm not going to do this. Entrepreneurship's not for me. Marketing's not for me, whatever. But what happens is, even if I'm quitting and stopping and starting and doing new things and going from thing to thing to thing, even if you're doing that, just one piece of hope that you can take from that is that you are becoming a more capable person. You are learning stuff along the way. You are learning skills. And eventually, if you can learn the skill of sticking to something, then all of those skills and small things you had acquired over the years will add up and help you actually achieve, success or however you define that in the one thing that you're pursuing. So like, for example, for me, like, throughout the years, I made lots of content. I was doing vlogs. I was doing little, trendy TikToks where you put text on the screen. I did trick shot videos. Me and my buddies started a clothing company. We filmed ads for that. So I was always doing content and stuff like that. And that was something that I learned, and I haven't mastered it. There's obviously so much more I could improve on, but it's something I at least have a basic understanding on, and it's helped me grow the business that I have today. That's at $50,000 a month in recurring revenue to what it is. And at the time, it felt silly. Like I had all this camera equipment. I wasn't using any of it. There would be 6 months, 8 months, 12 months go by that I wouldn't touch the stuff. But when I did hop back onto the next side quest or whatever, I had all that stuff, and I just slowly started to develop the skill of content. So yeah, I would just tell them, hey man, nothing's a waste. Just imperfect action is going to be inaction every single day of the week. And so don't get out of paralysis analysis. Actually start moving. And who cares if nothing comes of it? The work works on you more than you work on it, as Alex Ramosi says. So you're becoming the type of person, you're learning these skills, and eventually you'll just have to develop that skill of sticking to something and staying consistent. That's a seamless transition to the second point, which is like, you've got to learn how to stick to something. Like doing something for a month, 2 months, 3 months, no matter how hard you work on it for a couple months, you're not going to see any of the fruits of your labor. It's crazy how if you just do something for years and years and years, like I just onboarded a client yesterday, a big client. I got like $3,000 a year added to revenue just from like a 30-minute call. He was somebody I had talked to a year and a half ago, maybe, about Google reviews. And you just don't get the fruits of your labor a year, 2 years later if you're not still doing it a year or 2 years later. And so just learning how to stick to something is a skill, and just showing up every day, no matter how bad you feel about it or whatever, just being consistent. And also a lot of that comes down to like when you've started and stopped a lot of things, you have a little shame about that. So it's crazy the growth that takes place when you can continue to benefit from the work that you did a year or 2 years ago. And just sticking to it and showing up every day is hard, and it is a skill to learn. But the sooner you can learn that, I would have made progress. I would have grown so much faster if I would have just stuck to something when I was 16, 17, 18. But instead, I've done 20 different things in between doing Google reviews when I started that like 2 years ago. And so just pick something and stick to it. It doesn't matter either. Any of them can work. If you do any of them right and do them well, any of the business models can work. Content creator, affiliate marketing, YouTube, drop shipping, SMMA, GoHighLevel SaaS, whatever you want to do, they all can work. There's plenty of examples and proof out there that they can work. You just have to stick to it. So I'll say, hey, I know you quit a lot, man. I know you've started and stopped a lot of things, but this is not who you are. You just have to develop that skill of showing up day in, day out and staying focused. I think it's really dangerous when entrepreneurs label themselves as like, that's just the type of person I am. Like, I'm always going to be doing 20 different things. When I hear serial entrepreneur, like I know there's some amazing serial entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and stuff like that. But honestly, when I hear serial entrepreneur and like they have 3 really small businesses, it's just kind of like, why? Like, just focus on one. And they label themselves as this is the type of person I am. I think that's really dangerous because you just kind of like live into that. But all that to say, I would just tell my 16-year-old self, hey man, pick something, stick to it, stay dedicated. Any of them can work, just do it right. All right, the third thing I would tell my 16-year-old self is watch out for gurus. So about a year ago, I posted a video in a community about, it was before I was posting YouTube videos, and I was telling about how I make money doing Google reviews, automations. I was making like $13,000 or $14,000 a month at the time. And I had somebody hop on a call with me. It was like a semi-coaching call or whatever, but it was free back then because I didn't know I could charge for it. And I had a guy tell me about, all the business he was trying to do, tell me he had like 0 clients. He was making like $500 a month or just nothing really. And I was just kind of giving advice like, yeah, here's what I would do, whatever. And he was like, okay, got it. So what happened was, fast forward like 2 months, and I see he is like posting B-roll of him in a Lamborghini, him in Dubai, him on yachts, him with all these girls, him with all these other like influencer people. And like he's selling a course. He's selling like a $3,000 course or something. And I'm like, what the heck? Like literally 2 months ago, this guy was making $500 a month. And I'm like, what's going on? And so did some digging, kind of talked to him a little bit too. And he had paid all the money he could afford. I think he put it on a credit card to go to some guy's mastermind. And part of this guy's like, I went through the funnel process and looked at it. Part of this guy's mastermind is like, we will get you a whole bunch of B-roll on yachts, on Lamborghinis and these rented cars. And so these people are paying like $10,000 for the weekend or whatever. And they're just getting a whole bunch of B-roll to go fake a lifestyle they don't actually live, to go sell that lifestyle to other people who are like you and me, just like, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids trying to make some money online, like actually legit. And dude, there's thousands of them out there. I know it's like trendy now, be an online guru and online gurus suck or whatever, but like, dude, it's crazy. That's like what I'm realizing is like, bro, if I just like rented a Lamborghini for a day, got a whole bunch of B-roll, threw that in my YouTube videos, threw that in whatever, so many more people would sign up to HighLevel with my affiliate links. They'd be like, oh, I want this guy's lifestyle. But like I told y'all earlier, like I just want to go to Chick-fil-A when I want to go to Chick-fil-A, I just want to like not worry about getting grass-fed beef at Publix, and Publix is expensive too. So yeah, I just watch out for that lifestyle side of things. Like if you see somebody and like the main reason you want to work with them or pay for their course or whatever is because of their lifestyle, maybe just take a step back and like really, really reflect on the body of work. And like a good thing that a good litmus test for like when you do buy courses and stuff like that is I just say like, make sure this person's really, really done what they said they're going to do. And then also has helped other people what they say they're doing. And then also make sure they like don't really rely on you. Like if this is a guy selling a course where he's giving you like 10 one-on-one sessions every single month and he's selling it for like, $4,000 or, something that's not crazy expensive, like he might need you more than you need him. And like the ones that are really actually doing the thing and still doing the thing and are great at the thing, it's going to be a highly leveraged format for them. So like, even though that one-on-one coaching is great and it should be paid, like just make sure this person's actually legit. All right, but that brings me to my next point, which is courses. So education is obviously incredibly important. Courses and coaching and paying for someone else's lessons you're always going to get your bang for your buck there. But I will say, I've spent probably over $50,000 on coaching and courses in the past 2 years. I have always, and I mean that in the literal sense, always gotten more out of hyper focused courses. I'm talking like how to solve this one problem for SEO, how to solve this like just super duper focused courses that solve a very specific use case. Like honestly, one of the best courses I've ever bought was like a $400 course on SEO. And when I tell you that it was like, I just went to the page, paid $400 for it, it was just videos. But I learned so much about Google Business Profile, about ranking businesses on Google, about reviews, about everything, that to me, it was way more beneficial than courses I had paid $10,000 for in the past. Also, if you can't afford one-on-one time with people that have been there, done that, or know how to solve the exact problem you're trying to solve right now, or know how to run the exact business you're trying to run right now, paying for an hour of their time is always going to be worth it for you. You can just get one little nugget for them over the span of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. If you still continue to do that business, it's going to be worth it to you. Leads me to my next point, which is realizing you're the problem. So like, for example, I purchased a course where I learned about, kind of cold outreach and acquisition and stuff like that. This course taught me how to specifically get people to book on your calendar, about sending calendar links versus like requesting a time or whatever. And just that one little nugget right there after using it for the last 3 or 4 years, just like how they send the calendar link, how they follow up to get people to book a time, all that stuff. If I continue to be in business for the next 10, 20 years and continue to try and get people to book calls on my calendar, that is going to be well worth the $10,000 I paid from that, very massive course. But that one nugget has probably already been worth it to me after booking 1,000 plus calls, or 2,000, almost 2,000 calls since I took that course like 2 years ago. And so realizing that you're the problem, like when you get in these courses, the guru, the influencer, the teacher, they're not going to do it for you. And you have to make sure you're pointing the finger at yourself saying, what can I do better? What can I learn? What's under my control? Because you're pointing it at them. You're giving them all the power. You're giving them all the control, and you're letting your fate and your success lie in someone else's hands. But realize that you're the problem. You need to stick to it. You need to be able to figure it out. Like Alex Hormozi calls it the second brain cell. Like when something doesn't go exactly as the course says, you need to use your second brain cell to figure out how to solve that problem, because that problem of like problem solving and troubleshooting is so important to have, because things aren't going to go as they're planned. So yeah, I would just tell him to, hey man, you realize you're the problem. Point the finger at yourself. Don't blame circumstances. You need to figure this out, and you need to rely on yourself for it. And then also I would just tell him, hey, do a really good job of defining what the problem is right now, and then find the exact person who solved that problem before, or find the exact course that solves that problem. And I've gotten so much more out of those trainings than really anything else. The sixth thing I would say is care even less about school. So in college, I really didn't do my best at school whatsoever. Like I was like, I'm just passing and getting C's, but I would care like even less about school. And also in high school, like high school, I made like straight A's and like got into a good college and all that stuff. But geez, what a waste of time. I mean, golly, college in general for me specifically was a waste of time. So if I could go back to my 16-year-old self and knowing all him stuff, I would say, hey man, like school is going to be a waste of time. Only thing school taught me was like, hey, if you work hard, you'll see the fruits of that. And like, that is, for me, it's just been like what I think school's all about. It's like, we need to teach these kids like, hey, if you work hard at something, you can get a good grade and you can go farther, whatever. But you can do that by training for a marathon, like half marathon. That's like when I was in college, probably one of the most beneficial things I did in college was I trained for a half marathon. And so I trained for like 6 months and then shaved 40 minutes off my half marathon time. And that was like the first time I'd ever, trained for something for so long and then realized, whoa, big payoff. This is amazing. I've talked about this before, but it's like, once you realize, hey, if you work for 6 months and like really, really work hard on something and like just keep your head down, it's crazy how much progress you can make, even though it doesn't feel like in the moment you're making progress. And so just taught me how to delay gratification, and I think school just taught me how to like work hard. And so I guess there's benefit in that, but I would care even less about school and just spend more time working with local business owners like I did in college, and just like learning about business and marketing and stuff. Because you get to a certain point, like it was probably a couple years ago when I realized this, but like you get to a certain point where like, okay, even if this whole marketing agency thing doesn't work out, like I can go get a job at any local business being their marketing person or whatever, and I can make sure they make plenty of money, if they're my sole focus, because like as a marketing agency, like you're trying to do that at scale for 30 companies or 100 companies, right? And so that's what I was doing back then. And I was like, okay, well, if I just focus on one and they were paying me $5,000 a month or whatever, I know they could grow crazy. And so just like learning those skills was very, very valuable. So I would have probably spent more time doing that while I was in high school and college instead of like doing schoolwork and stuff. That was just a waste. The seventh thing I would tell them was like, hey buddy, like just think in years, not months. Like literally think in 3-year, 5-year, 10-year increments, and even like if this is 6 years later, I haven't even been 10 years, but I think just thinking that long term has so many benefits, especially as long as you're not worried about like paying rent this month, right? Like, make sure you have your part-time job or you have whatever that covers your expenses and stuff. But if you can think in years and not months, you're going to make a lot better decisions, and you're going to be more prepared for what actually is required to grow a business that has success. And so my biggest issue when I was 16, 17 was like, oh, I'm going to start this business, and then next month I'm going to make $10,000. I'm going to make $20,000.
Oh, hell no.
Whatever. And like, I remember driving to Carly, my now wife's house, and like watching YouTube videos and having a new business idea and like calculating how much money I was going to make. And then that day I would just be like, oh, this is so sick. In 3 months, I'm going to be making like $20,000 easy, like no questions asked. Like that's just a guarantee, And it's just like how stupid I was. I was thinking in months, I was just so naive, And so thinking years, I think they say it in like the summiting world or like the climbing world. I don't know, whatever you call people like hike up mountains, like really tall mountains and get to the top, whatever you call them. They're like, hey, just look at your boots, because if you look at the mountaintop, you'll get discouraged. If you look at the peak or whatever, you'll get discouraged. It's so far away, but just keep your eyes on your boots one step at a time. And so I think when you're able to do that and think longer term, you make a lot better decisions and you grow like a real business and not just something you're trying to slap together to make some money. And number 8, I would just be a lot more careful of who I listen to online in terms of like influencers and what podcasts I listen to, what YouTubers listen to. I think there's a lot of benefit in finding like one influencer, finding one business person like Alex Ramosi or like Dan Martell, or whoever you like to watch that you resonate with, and someone who's actually done it. Like they have the proof. It's like a fact. They've actually done it. It's not fake screenshots of a fake Stripe account. And listening to just one person at a time. I think that like a lot of times I would be listening to like 20 different influencers and they're all successful, but they all kind of did things a little differently. And when they're all talking about how they got started, it might be different each, and they're giving you all this mixed advice. It just makes you feel like you're pulled in a million different ways. So, and like it's nice to have second opinions and stuff, but I think there is a lot of benefit in just like kind of focusing on one person that really resonates with you and really, really studying what they've done to grow and like taking their advice. Because if you're taking just like little bits of each person's journey along the way, they might not add up to really get to that success, however you define that, right? Because people do things differently. And so just be cognizant of the information that I was consuming back in the day and not trying to overwhelm myself with information, because the vast majority of the last 6 years, I've had all the information I need to make the decision to move, to take action. I just wasn't taking enough action. And so just honestly quit consuming as much and be very cognizant of who you listen to. And then also just finding a good support system locally or with your family, like your friends. I've got great family, great friends, and other people that are really interested in business and entrepreneurs locally that I'm able to meet with. Sometimes it's only once a year or like once every 6 months, but it's still really beneficial to hear other people that have been there, done that, and are way ahead of you, or in the same kind of season that you are, and like you can just resonate with them and y'all can kind of bond over maybe the struggles you're going through. But like finding a good support system like that earlier for me would have been huge, because I don't think I've really had that but like the last 2 years. I mean, I've always had great family and friends and all that stuff, but in terms of like actual like mentors for the business side of my life, I didn't really have that until like probably 2 years ago. So I'd probably find that earlier, and just to help me stay the course. So I hope you enjoyed this yapathon. Maybe it was beneficial for you, maybe it wasn't. If it was, maybe like and subscribe. But yeah, if you want to see how my business of just helping local businesses get Google reviews, that makes about $24,000 per month out of that 50. If you want to see how I do that, you can click on this next video here. If not, you can just dislike this video, comment something really hurtful, and I'll think about it as I go to sleep at night. Peace.